Hello, thank you for stopping by. My name is Becky and this is BecxReadz, and today I have an original tag for you. July is Disability Pride Month, which is the month that commemorates the ADA being signed into effect, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I wanted to create the Disability Pride book tag because I myself have a disability. I will also be joined by two of my fellow booktubers, Jess at Honest Fiction and Liezl at Liezl Loves Books. They will be posting their Disability Pride book tags as well today. Their channels will be tagged down below as well as their individual videos. And if you yourself have a disability and you feel comfortable sharing your responses to these questions, please, by all means, do feel free to do it. Question 1 is, how would you describe your disabilities? I have a visual disability predominantly due to my amblyopia, which is just the medical term for a lazy eye. I've had a lazy eye since I was a child and it never got fixed. Nobody told my parents to patch my eyes when I was younger, so I grew up without having it fixed. And now my brain is too far developed to really change the way I see the world. Due to my amblyopia, I have astigmatism, nearsighted. Those are the most common things. I also have a lack of depth perception, mild color blindness, and light-sensitive eyes, among probably other things that I'm not even aware of. So that is how I would describe my disability. Question 2 is, how does your disability affect your reading? The biggest way my disability affects my reading is my eyes will get tired, so I have to switch to audiobooks or text-to-speech. Question 3 is, what accommodations have you made or used to make reading easier? I don't know why it took me so long to fall in love with audiobooks. Don't ask me why. It wasn't until 2020 that I actually started actively listening to audiobooks and prioritizing audiobooks over any other kind of reading. I just never liked them in the past. But now I can say, thank God they exist, because as I get older, my eyesight will deteriorate and audiobooks will be a godsend for me to be able to listen to amazing stories. Aside from audiobooks, I do often use the text-to-speech feature on my Kindle. Whenever my eyes get tired of looking at the screen, I will just turn on the robotic voice and have it read to me. Not nearly as good as an audiobook, but if the audiobook isn't available or I just don't want to purchase it for some reason, I will just listen to the robot female voice read to me. As far as ebooks go, I do customize my Kindle to work with my visual disability. I will show you how I do that. So typically when you get, oh, that's a bright ass screen. Typically when you open up an ebook, the background will be white with black font. That hurts my eyes so bad. I cannot do it. So I switch my background to black with white font. This allows for less white light to come at my eyes. As you can see, I have also increased the font size. This is a good font size for me. I could get it even bigger, but then there's less words on the pages and I feel like it takes me forever to read. So this is a good size for me. I also will hold this about like 4 inches from my face. So even at this size, I still have to hold it relatively close to me. I do also adjust the brightness because of my light sensitive eyes. I have to take the brightness down to there if I am in a dark room. If I'm in a bright room, I can go all the way up with it. It just depends on the lighting situation. So those are some of the accommodations that I have made and used to make reading easier. Question 4 is, have you read any books that represent your specific disability? No, I have not read any books that represent my specific disability as far as like my amblyopia. I have read books with blind representation. However, I am not completely blind, so it doesn't really represent me. The 2 books that I feel like come closest to it have been The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. The male best friend in this story, he has a lack of depth perception, which is what I also have. He doesn't have my exact disability, but that is an aspect of my disability that I could relate to. And then Petra in The Last Quintista, she has RP, retinitis pigmentosa, which affects her losing her vision. This is, again, something I can't relate to because I have not lost my vision as I've gotten older. My vision has always just sucked. I don't feel like her disability is represented the greatest within this story because there are times when I felt like her disability was sort of forgotten. There are things that I know that I wouldn't be able to do and see in this world, and so this girl who has lost more of her sight than I have, she's able to do them and see them. I'm just like, I don't know how realistic that is. So I don't know that it was represented the best, but it came as close to our representation as I've found. Question 5 is, do you know of any authors who have a similar disability to you? There's only one author I know who even has a visual disability, and that is Jennifer L. Armentrout. I am not a big fan of her books, but I do know that she has RP, retinitis pigmentosa, and so she's slowly losing her vision. So she is the only author that I am even aware of that has any sort of visual disability. If you know of any authors who have a visual disability, please leave them down below so I can check out their books. Question 6, is there any cliche or misrepresented trope, plot, etc. of any disability that you wish authors wouldn't use? First off is when a character, especially in like a fantasy story, they have a disability and it's magically fixed by the end of the story. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Not because I don't wish it could happen, because as somebody who has a visual disability, if you could fucking magically fix my eyes, like fix my brain so that the shit I see is 20/20, I would take that in a heartbeat. I would love to see the world 20/20. I would love to be able to drive, for fuck's sake. I would love to be as independent as I feel. So I understand the appeal of this plot device because, hey, I would love to be magically cured. I would. But I hate it because it's so unrealistic. And every time I read it and I'm just like, that's just false hope right there. I also hate when authors use the disability represented as a title for their book. So for me specifically, when I am looking for like blind rep books to read, I hate it when I come across the titles that are like Love at First Sight, Blinded by Love, Love in Darkness, these kind of things. I hate that. I hate that so much. Could you just give me a regular title that isn't like, oh, this book is about a blind person, so here's this corny cliche-ass title. That may just be a me thing. Other people with disabilities might not mind that so much, but I absolutely hate it. And the last thing that I hate is specifically for girls who wear glasses. I hate it when they have this glow-up moment where suddenly they get contacts, or they just don't need glasses at all because they get like laser eye surgery or something like that. Contacts have never been a thing for me. Getting laser eye surgery or LASIK eye surgery has never been an option for me because my eyes are healthy. There's nothing wrong with my eyes. It's all in my brain. So to fix my visual disability, I would have to have brain surgery, not eye surgery. So always seeing the girls in movies and books who wear glasses and then they have their little Princess Diaries moment and suddenly they're just so beautiful. It's so irritating. I hate it so much. You are beautiful with glasses. Period. The end. Nothing needs to change. Question 7 is, what are some of your favorite books with disability rep? Any disability rep. I have 3, and I'm not going to go too far in depth about what these books are about because I do have a disability representation recommendation video coming soon, and I will share more about these books in that. So be on the lookout for that. 3 of my favorites are Painted Scars by Neva Altej. This is a mafia romance. In this, we have a hero who uses a wheelchair and a cane because he has some disabilities with his legs. Next is 4 Years Trapped in My Mind Palace by Johan Twist. This is a literary fiction about a young boy who's 14 years old and he is completely paralyzed and in a coma. And he ends up befriending this old man with Alzheimer's and their story. And lastly, one of my newest favorite books with disability rep is A Daughter of the Trolls by Mackenzie Catron. If you are looking for a cozy fantasy horror, I recommend this. This is an upper YA fantasy about a girl named Sparrow who uses a wheelchair. And when something happens, she has to journey through this forest that isn't made for her wheelchair. It was just so freaking good, so whimsical. It's really short, but it was fantastic. So I highly recommend this one. Question 8 is, are there any upcoming releases that have disability rep that you're excited to read? The only book that I'm aware of that has disability rep in it was recently released. It's not an upcoming release, and that is Out on a Limb. I've seen this book going around. It has a male main character who is an amputee and a female main character who has like a prosthetic hand, or she has like a underdeveloped hand. And I really want to read this. I gotta say, this title once again drove me crazy because I'm like, out on a limb. They're both missing limbs. Haha, creative. But I've heard this is really cute. and I want to read it. Other than that, I don't know of any books that are upcoming that have disability rep. Usually I'm not aware that they have disability rep until somebody has read them and then told me about them. So if you know of any books that are coming up that have disability rep in them, again, leave them down below so I can check them out. And the last question, is there anything bookish spaces or communities could do better to be more accessible for your specific disability? If you are a content creator of any kind, I wish you would stop using those fancy fonts. They might look cool, but a lot of them are very difficult to read for people with a visual disability, not to mention people with like dyslexia or something. It's also very difficult for people to read. To go along with this is I wish bookish communities, content creators, I wish they would contrast their font colors better. There have been times when I've gotten like pamphlets in those bookish boxes and the font is white on a very light blue background. I cannot read those, cannot read them at all. When people post stories or things like that and they have white font on a white background, it just looks invisible to me. The light on the light, the dark on the dark, it's very hard for me to read. So I can imagine that people with worse eyesight than me also can't read that. Tiny font as well. You have no idea how many times I've come across a story and I want to read it. I want to know what the person has to say, but the font is so tiny, I have to screenshot it. And then I have to go and I have to like zoom in to see what the hell they're saying because I can't read it. So if you would like to increase your font size and contrast your font colors better, that would be great. And this last thing is for like physical bookstores. I hate when they have like floor to ceiling bookshelves. That's ideal for your home library where you know what books are up there. But for me, as someone with a visual disability, I can't read the spines of books very well. I have to get super close to them, and that's at my eye level. So if you put something higher than me, I can't tell what those books are. I have to literally pull them off the shelf and look at it and put it back. But for me specifically, because these are my answers, if you could just make that a 5-10 shelf, that'd be a hell of a lot easier than those shelves that are way up there, and I have to either go get a stool that aren't around very easily, or I just don't even bother looking at the top shelf because I can't see them up there. And not to mention that this could also be difficult for people who use wheelchairs, who don't have somebody around to help them get those really easily. So I wish that was a thing. So those were my answers to the Disability Pride book tag. Like I said, if you yourself have a disability and feel comfortable sharing, please do. But if you've made it to the end of this video, could you leave me the dog emoji? Because guide dogs and visual disability, they go together really well. And until my next video, thank you so much for watching, and go read a book with some disability rep in it. Bye!